last. So yeah, I've been been asked by committee just to give a wee bit of background to these 10-year anniversary celebrations, mainly because I'm the one that's been around longest. It is quite hard to imagine now, but just over 10 years ago, the site the tennis courts is on was basically a totally dilapidated eyesore. I don't know how many of you can remember it, but it was awful. It looked even worse than the Blaze pitch that's out there just now. Unplayable surface, broken remnants of an old fence still visible and so on. And the pavilion this year was ghastly as well, especially the toilets, as anyone who used it at the time would tell you. The effect of that was to give the whole of this part of the Glen a really kind of run-down and unloved appearance, and a pretty deserved reputation for antisocial behaviour at the time. Anybody interested in tennis at that time had to travel quite a long way to play. Jean and I were, for example, members of Troon for many years because of that. Some others played at Largs, others still at Prestwick and so on. In 2011, I happened to be coming to an end of a 4-year spell at Troon as president, and during that period I'd led a project to rebuild their old clubhouse and replace their front courts and so on. And that experience got me wondering whether it might be possible to reintroduce tennis back into West Kilbride. At the time, I didn't know many people in the village who were actively playing tennis, so I wasn't really very easily able to find other volunteers to help deliver such a project. But as those of you who know me will understand, I'm a bit of a control freak anyway. No! Surely not. No, you don't need to agree so wholeheartedly. So in many respects, taking things forward on my own at that time kind of suited me. The early signs weren't encouraging though. Tennis Scotland wouldn't support the project due to access issues and parking concerns and so on. And that was a pretty major blow, since I knew other funding bodies would be unlikely to provide grant money without this project having the support of the governing body. Fortunately though, the experience and contacts I developed on the Troon project opened a few doors that might otherwise have remained closed. It became clear though that applying for funding as a charity also would be helpful, so we converted the Community Sports Club at that time to a charity in 2013, and from then on we started to make some progress with the £200,000 budget for the courts. By early 2015, most of the funding had been secured, but there was still a shortfall of around 20,000 and no more potential funders available to approach. So my last hope was for the remaining gap to be funded locally. This was achieved within a few months thanks to the generosity of a number of private individuals and local organisations, and their contributions are recognised on the acknowledgements board out at the courts. Construction started in late 2015 with completion occurring in February 2016. On time and on budget. It wasn't a ferry. Just as well as there was no contingency available had things gone wrong. At this point though, there still wasn't a tennis club to take on the operation of the courts from the Community Sports Club. And as there had been no tennis club in West Kilbride for something like 25 years, the project had always really needed a bit of a build it and they will come type of approach. But at some point I knew West Kilbride Tennis Club needed to be brought into being. And that was done following a surprisingly well attended meeting in January 2016, when we secured the first volunteer committee members and approved the constitution. And some of you here will have been at that meeting. Many on that original committee are still club members, including Jean, Moya, Francis, Derek Valentine, Ian Armstrong. If I've forgotten anyone, please. Thanks to you all for your contribution. I should also mention John Campbell here and his valuable contribution as our first treasurer. So together, the new committee got on with the often pretty challenging job of creating a new tennis club from scratch. And as they say, the rest is history. We now have a very successful tennis club, which is one of the biggest by membership in the whole of Ayrshire, and I know is among the busiest clubs from a playing viewpoint. Delivering the new courts has clearly been key to re-establishing tennis in the village, but the subsequent success of the club is down to all of you, all of our current members, for making it a fun and welcoming environment for everyone to play tennis, regardless of their ability, background, and in my case, age. You should all be proud of your part in this achievement, because everyone has played a part. As long as we continue on the path we've set in the first 10 years with the same values and culture, then together we can continue to take the club forward over the next 10 years and beyond that. So, thank you everyone.
Thank you.